I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I feel defeated. Like, I feel like the world is kicking me in my teeth. And I feel like at times it's like, what is all of this for? And I think that's because I'm human. And hopefully, I've never come across as this person who is somehow not impacted by the experiences of life, because I'm certainly am. And over the last 18 months, I've felt very much so like I have been in this constant space of questioning myself, of this brand, of this podcast, of existence, of dynamics, of friends, of friendships, of relationships, of money, of health, of ever just questioning everything. And it's really interesting because as I turned 40 last year, I'd set this, how do I phrase this? I set this intention that 40 would be a reset. And it's so interesting because in so many ways it has been. It's required me to move and to shift my energy and to adjust where I'm putting my focus in work and to adjust where I'm putting my focus in romantic relationships and friendships and career and business and everything, even where I'm living. And what I keep coming back to in this space is this constant questioning of like, what am I supposed to be doing? And, as part of what I do as a coach is help people solve that problem. And I've always said that all coaches should have a coach because, well, at the end of the day, I also need that guidance. So I'm sitting with my coach, this amazing guy who has spoken highly into me over the years, who I would say arguably is the first person to really like give me the time of day when I was building this podcast, the first person that I really resonated with because his story was so familiar and similar to mine. And I'm having this conversation with him, and basically I said, I'm in this identity crisis, for lack of a better way to phrase it, where I feel like everything about who I am is so different than where I started. And I got lost along the way because my intention shifted. And maybe I was around people who, not that they had ill intent, but their intent and their intentions were not in alignment with mine. And I kept finding myself in these circles and in these relationships and with these people. I'm like, this is not serving me. This isn't actually what I want. And I'm sharing this with him, and he said something really wonderful to me. He said, dude, you just have to remember who you are. And I was thinking about that a lot. Like, who am I? Well, I'm who I've decided to be. I've always played this game with myself about choosing who I am. And I can get lost in that too, where I'm just like, I don't know today. And I started getting into this conversation with him, and I was like, wait a second. Why did I start all of this? If I go back almost a decade ago and I'm looking at the beginning of Think Unbroken, and I'm looking at living in Portland, Oregon, I'm looking at my life as kind of the disaster that it was in the moment, and I'm looking at the transition to writing books and this show and helping people and all the things that have come along with it. All of this started for one reason. I just wanted to help people. That's it. That's all I wanted. I just wanted to show people, hey, you grew up in a really fucked up environment like me. The world has been against you, and yet there's still an opportunity for you to create the life that you've always dreamed of. And if I can do it and I can help guide you through it, then maybe you can do it too. And that was everything for a very long time as I built the business, as I coached people, as I podcasted, and all of these things. And in there along the way, I got lost a little bit. And the reason I got lost, it wasn't about money, and it wasn't about fame or any of those things. It was about intention. And I got lost because it is a lot of weight to carry this show, to carry the energy of the guests, to carry the thousands of people who have walked through my programs over the years, to the small group coachings and one-on-one, to carry the stories. And I didn't do something that I should have done, or I should have done it better, I should say. And I should have rested more. And so the last year and a half was me being like, I'm going to chill. I need a break. I am mentally, emotionally, physically exhausted. And I did that. And now I've come through on the other side. And it's very different now because so many things are not getting my attention and my energy like they once did, because I've started walking down this path of being like, well, who am I? Who is it that I choose to be? Remember who you are. And it has come back to this thing about, well, how do I be of more service? How do I be more vulnerable? And as I wrote my words for the year heading into 2026, I said, I want to be of more service and I want to be more vulnerable. And vulnerable, not in this way that I think can be, how do I phrase this? I think that a lot of vulnerability in the scope of the world that we live in today is actually fake. It's fictional vulnerability. It's I'm going to tell someone a story so that I get an emotional response out of them, and it's not really a part of who I am. That's why I've always said when I see people crying on the internet, it rubs me the wrong way. And I get it. For some people, that's probably an outlet. And for other people, they're definitely leveraging that to build trust. For me, I'd rather just tell you stories. I'd rather just share what's really happening. And I'd rather look at this experience and my connectedness to you about a bond. Life sucks sometimes, even on this side of the microphone, where I question, where I get lost, where I need to lean into people. I'm so lucky I have an amazing therapist who I've been with for a decade, basically on speed dial, because like, holy shit, it's been a hard go recently. And on the backside of it, where I'm today, February, very different this year than February last year. And where I'm at today is like, man, I am so happy and I am feeling very fulfilled. And I feel like my direction and my purpose and the alignment that I wanted really this whole time has come full circle back to me, because I get to sit here and have conversations with amazing people, and I get to share my journey with you, and I get to seek a better understanding of who it is that I want to be on the daily basis. And I get to attempt to play this game called Be That Person. And there's so many learnings that are in front of me. I realize at 40, here's what's so strange. At 40, I find it funny that people would pay me to help them at 30, because 40-year-old me has so much more experience and understanding about human dynamics and psychology and mental health and navigating the scope of trauma than 30-year-old me did, obviously. I mean, we got a decade of experience that can help people through the most diresome moment of their life. In fact, recently, in a lot of coaching calls that I've been having, people are not in a good place. And I get to be there with them and be like, okay, let's walk this path. And as I do that, what I love about getting to do that is it's also me walking through the path. It's funny because sometimes I'm sitting with people and it's a direct reflection of their experience and what is happening with them as what is happening with me, being whatever it is that it is in the moment that is occurring. And so I'm sitting and I'm thinking and I'm having these conversations with my coach, with my mentor, with my clients, with my friends, with my family, with intimate partners, with whoever it is over the last couple of years. And I just kept feeling lost. Like, what the hell is happening? I started off with this idea and this plan. I saw it through. I wrote the books. I had the #1 podcast. I was on billboards in Times Square. I did these things. I helped all of these people, and I feel lost. And what was so crazy about that feeling of feeling lost is it was so unknown, because I hadn't felt that way since I was probably like 26. I was super clear, like, this is what Think Unbroken is. This is the path. This is what I'm building. This is what I want to help people do. And today, it's still that, but it's different. And it's different because where I see this moment in time is about a deeper and more vulnerable conversation about being of service at a higher level. And more importantly, about guiding myself and others, particularly those listening to this show or whoever might come across my work, and saying, okay, well, what do we really want? I was reading Simon Sinek's Start With Why again recently, just skimming it. I wasn't reading the whole book. And I was like, why? Why? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? Why does this matter? Why does this not? Why do I need to show up to this place or speak on that stage or do this podcast or whatever the why is? And I just kept going deeper and deeper and deeper into it. And on top of that, then I started evaluating my values. Like, who am I? Like, is this an alignment anymore? There's been a lot of changes in my life recently. And as I sit in this space today and in this moment, the one thing I keep thinking about, that I keep coming back to, it's like, this is about service. This podcast, these conversations, the immense amount of work that goes into this show, having a team, sitting down, you have no idea how many interviews that I do and pre-interviews and all of these things. It's all about service. It's all about shit. Yo, if somebody can listen to this and it changes their life, it's worth it. And I think that where I kind of got lost in this journey is it, and this is just honest, because like fuck it, like it just became more so about what I could accomplish and who I could get on, and less so about the journey and the stories. And maybe that's part of recording 1,000 episodes of this show, and maybe that's just a part of the nature of the human experience. Maybe it's also me trying to find out how to get more engaged in the show. Maybe it's more about looking at who knows, there's a multitude of variables. But today it was like I sat because I wanted to have this conversation with you and say, hey, I fuck up too. I make mistakes also. I know that people ebb and flow in listenership. I know that some days this service of this show is very incredible and helps profoundly shift people's perspective in life. And I know other times they're like, why the fuck are you interviewing this guy? They have nothing to do with anything. And I'm like, well, I want to talk to them. And so I'm thinking about 2026 and the fact that we are about to release our new season and some really unbelievable stories and people, and coming into this looking at it differently. I wrote a note. It's actually over. You can't see it because it's on my goals list on my wall. But I wrote this note under my business of like how I wanted to treat this year. And one of the things that I said is that I only want to work with people I want to work with. And that means saying no to a lot of people. Having this podcast for as long as I've had it honestly has given me a lot of pull in the podcast industry. A lot of people want to come on this show. I have said no to a lot of people over the years, and this year I'm saying no to even more people. And part of that is in service to you as the audience. Part of it is also because I don't want to talk to people just because they want to talk to me, which is a mistake I made, because there's older episodes. I'm not necessarily going to point anybody out, but there's older episodes of the show where I'm like, I don't even want to talk to this fucking person, but they're famous, so let's bring them on. And, that serves something, right? It gets you recognition and blah, blah, blah. But now as I'm sitting, I'm like, I don't want to do that. The only thing that I want to do is talk to people I want to talk to. And I want to talk to you. I want to talk to my listeners. I want to talk to this community. I want to talk to this audience. I want to talk to people who want to be a part of this. And I want to talk to people who need help. And so there's a lot coming that feels different, but also requires me not to overextend myself as much as I have in the past, because I am the first one to tell you I am wildly guilty of overextending myself to the point of pure fucking exhaustion, of being like, I'm going to go help and be of service and all of these things. And there's like this immense price to pay for that. And so I don't know what the short future looks like right now, but I know that the long-term future of all of this feels like building a family, building something bigger, being of more service. Um, and there's always this conversation. People ask me this a lot, and I want to address this because I think it's really important. People always ask me, like, why do I charge for my services if my whole thing is being of service to help people? Well, one, it's about my time. There's so many things that are for free that I've put out into the world. This podcast, you can get my book for free. I mean, it's literally on YouTube. There's hundreds and hundreds and now thousands of hours of content that I've put out. There's so much free. Like there's so much free that if you consumed all of the free, my gift to you, this complimentary thing, it would change your life. But here's what I know, and this is just true because I experience this too. I don't take anything seriously that I do for free. I just don't. Like, it's just my Nate. Like, I've got so many free courses and free this and free that I've never done anything with. But you better believe when I pay my coach the amount of money that I pay him, I show up on time and prepared, ready to go. When I pay my therapist, on time and prepared. When I'm paying my team, on time and prepared. When I'm investing into everything that has to be invested into to create this life, on time and prepared. I look at this as like getting on an airplane. You buy a ticket to fly. You're not going where you want to go if you don't invest in yourself. And people will look at me and they'll go, well, you should help people for free. I'm like, I've got a life to live. I have bills to pay. I'm like, just like any other person in the world, just because I'm a little bit of a public figure doesn't mean that I'm some rich guy, because I'm certainly not. If I were a rich guy, I would still charge you. And here's why, because people don't do anything for free stuff. And that doesn't mean you can't be a part of the community. Like, I'm working on reopening a community and just giving a space for people to come in and be connected. I think that matters. I think it's important. But if you want to coach with me, if you want to get into the groups, that is going to require investment. And I have no qualms about that. And I don't feel bad about that. But I just want you to know, because it came top of mind. I was thinking about it because people ask a lot. Because what I want to build and what we're in front of is this thing that hopefully is going to be transformative for even more people. I mean, you guys know there's been so many people who have walked through the path of working with me over the years, and I am so grateful for that. And I don't know that I actually ever built this community as effectively as I could. And part of it is too, is just I'm just one person with a small team. We can only do what we can do. And so I think that there's a lot of conversation about what's next. I don't have answers to any of those questions in this moment. Right now, the only thing that I'm focused on is giving you the best podcast experience that you can have, is hopefully giving you the space and the tools to walk down this healing journey. And that thing that I'm sitting in right now is like, well, remember who you are. For some of you, I think that that's the place that you're in. I know you because you've listened to this show for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. I know you because I am you. I know you because I know that place of being like, there's something here I've got to touch. You have to answer the questions. Like you actually do. You have to actually answer the questions about your life and your experience and who you want to be. And you have to be able to lean into those and say, yeah, this is who I am and this is what I want, and be unapologetic about it. I think that's one of the places where that feeling of being lost came from for a while for me, was feeling like I had to apologize about the success. I felt a lot of guilt for a while about making it out, about not being dead, about not being in prison, about arguably being the most successful person in the history of my family. And that's subjective, right? I mean, my brothers and my sister and my, other family members have success in a different way than I do. And I love that for them. I just mean like monetarily, right? And I think that I felt guilty about that. And then I felt guilty about the freedom that I was able to create. And then I felt guilty about the fact that my childhood best friends are dead and I'm not. And I felt guilty about one of my best friends growing up. I won't share his details, but it's not good. And I'm over here. I'm like, cool, I'm flying first class, right? I felt guilty about that. And then I realized, like, you don't have to feel guilty for being you. You don't have to feel guilty about success. You don't have to feel guilty about loving yourself. You don't have to feel guilty about having big dreams. You don't have to feel guilty about making it out. You don't have to feel guilty about leaving the relationship. You don't have to feel guilty about starting the business. Like, you got to just live, and you have to remember who you are. And that's one of the hardest things that we do. And when you can tap into that, life gets so much better. This podcast started as like my journal, this open message to the world about my experience. And sometimes I probably overshared, sometimes I probably undershared, and sometimes I shared just the right amount. And it's like when you're at the gas station, you don't really have these anymore, but you used to go to the gas station and they had this give a penny, take a penny, have a penny, leave a penny, little jar things, right? And sometimes I'm given a penny, like that's what this show is, but also sometimes I'm taking a penny, and that's what this show is. And I want you to think about that in terms of your life. Sometimes you're given, sometimes you're taking, and that's how it works. You don't have to feel guilty about that. You don't have to feel bad about the reality of that. And I think a lot is when I walk away from this, whenever I do, because there is a truth that it's weighing on me. I mean, I've said everything there is to say, kind of, right, at this point. And I thought maybe this show becomes less how to and more my story, this story, that story, their story, our story. You don't need Gabor Mate on the show again to tell you the fucking three things that you need to do. You know they're there. We had the conversation. You don't need the Mario Bouquets. You don't need the Anna Lemkes. You don't need the Layla Hermosis or whomever that is that has been on the show. The Tim Stories, the Anthony Trucks, the Natalie Dawsons, the Jordan whoever's, right? Maybe what you need is more story. Maybe what you need is more human experience, not the how to. And I think I've always had a pretty solid mix of the two, but I really want to talk about like, this is where I was. This is what rock bottom felt like. This is what overcoming was. And maybe that all exists already, and I'm just looking at it differently because I'm forest for the trees in this. But at the end of the day, the thing that I want more than anything is I want you to be able to walk away from this and feel like it brought fucking value to your life. I never set out to make this show. Let me be very clear about this. I never set out to make Think Unbroken become what it was. I never ever would have guessed this would become one of the highest rated podcasts in the world, that I would interview some of the most amazing people that you could ever interview, that we'd have millions of listeners and downloads. That was never the fucking intention. The intention was I'm going to make this podcast and I'm going to talk about real shit and I'm going to help people to the best of my ability. And I think that I did that until I didn't. And I'll be honest, there's parts of that where I'm like, I didn't. Like I did, this was not to the best of my ability, but I had to put it out because this is what we do. And maybe there's a recollection happening in that. Because I'm sitting with my coach, this amazing man, and he's like, dude, remember who you are. Remember who this Michael, who this creation is of a man that you have built. Remember who he is and go and be that. And that's what I want to encourage all of you to do, is like, go and be that version of you that you are like, this is who I am. Cool. Prove it. Prove it. That's what I'm in right now. You're in this place of watching me go prove it, because I'm doing so many different things and launching different initiatives and working on other businesses where I'm like, fucking prove it. You said it, go do it. And I think that that's such a big part of this journey for all of us. Can we get to that place where we follow through and we honor who we are? And I don't know about you, but for me, that feels like the most important thing that I can do, is just show up and be me to the best of my ability. The good, the bad, the middle, the in between, the ups, the downs, the left, the right, all of it. Because it's like, yo, some days I'm like, fuck, this is hard. And I'm like, well, I said I was going to do it. So put your boots on, walk out there and go do the thing. And I know that can be really, really difficult, because when you're in the pit of your life and nothing is working and everything feels against you and all you can do is push your fist into the wall and you're like, well, like, somebody please give me a break. It's like, nope, you got to put your boots on and prove it. And it sucks until it doesn't. And I encourage you to go and embrace that and sit in it and then reflect in it and go, okay, cool. What did I learn? What did I do right? What can I do better? Who can I ask for help? Who can help me? Who can I help? And how can I make this vision of myself become my reality? And so, as I'm sitting in this moment with you in real time, exercising the demon of self, the thing that I am coming back to is like, how do I be me again? Deeper, more passionate, more vulnerable, more of service, and be okay with the fact of the reality of like, yeah, I might have messed this up for a minute. And whatever this is, some of you have no idea. And you're like, this is the first time I've ever listened to you. I don't know what you're talking about. And some of you have listened for 10 years and you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. And it's like, I know what I'm talking about. I know the experiences. I know the stories. I know the rooms I've been in. I know the times where I was just like, I don't care today because it became so overwhelming. And now I know the times where I'm like, cool, how do I show up every day as the man that I said I was going to be and lead the people who I said I was going to lead, who choose to walk this path with me in the most efficacious way possible? So that's my spill. That's what I got. That's where I'm at in this moment. I may have said a lot of words and said nothing. I have no idea, but at least I got it off my chest and I get to share it with you. And for those of you that listen and still stand by me and, comment and message and all those things, I appreciate you. You're fucking awesome. You're part of the reason why I do this. And, at the end of the day, the biggest thing for me is I'm looking at what's in front of me for this year and this life and this decade. And I'm like, cool, let's go get it. So that's it, my friends. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And until next time, be unbroken. I'll see ya.